Today is day 12. Yeah, day 12. And today, don't really have much to talk about. It is pretty hard to come up with ideas to talk about you guys. So I'm kind of just going to improvise this video, see where my words go. And yeah, I'll title the video based on, I guess, afterwards what I'm talking about. I guess something I want to point out is, letting outside factors get in between you and your goals and letting people get in between that. If you really want something and that's what you want, don't let nobody tell you otherwise, right? Don't let anyone get you off that track, especially if you see yourself improving and doing good. Don't listen to them. I see a lot of people with a lot of potential that end up holding themselves back because they're scared of, other people and what they have to say about them and, shit like that. So really, it's at the end of the day, it's you. You can let other people say whatever they want. People are gonna talk. People are gonna try to tear you down. That is simply just part of life. Our job is to essentially, push it to the side and not let it get in between us and our goals. Really put that focus on you. And the more you stay consistent with a routine centered around that focus, doing stuff centered around that discipline you're building, all of these things that you're building and forming, it'll get easier to push out these outside factors telling you to stop or telling you that you're not going to, achieve what you're going to, or, you're not doing good, or, you have bad ideas. Don't let nobody tell you otherwise, okay? Like, there are just so many people that have the most amount of potential that hold themselves back because of that. And it's really sad to see, those people out there. If you're one of those people that are tearing other people down and trying to, get them to think poorly about what they're doing, screw off. Like, come on, you yourself need to build yourself. You yourself have work to put in. So don't focus on other people's stories and what they're trying to get and what they're trying to build. Focus on you. Because at the end of the day, that's what matters, is you and where you're going, what your future has for you. Think longevity, the longer you think and the more you build for that future, your present just kind of falls into place. It's something that you don't really have to worry about unless you have, something that kind of just pops up out of the blue that's unexpected. Then yeah, shift focus a little bit, but always try to build future, because that's really the only thing you should be doing, because the past you can't do anything about. You can't go back into time and fix things. The present is, just going on constant. It's a constant variable, so it's not stopping, but something you can predict and, try to set up is the future. People don't really look at it that way. People are like, oh, when the future comes, I'll deal with it. Well, you're probably not going to be prepared to deal with it then. Think about future problems that might arise, think about things that you don't want to happen that might happen, because then you'll mentally prepare yourself. That kind of goes back on what I was saying yesterday about hope. Don't rely on it, because things could go wrong. Don't rely on hope, but, have some, and always, consider all options and factors. The more you factor in, the more you think about, the more things you're accounting for, the better prepared you are going to be in the future, because you're literally actively building that, whether you realize it or not. Like going to the gym, something that I'm not really thinking about is just muscle growth. I'm just kind of going to the gym to build up confidence, to get my strength back, and something that, is being gained from the gym is muscle growth and, getting bigger. That's kind of something that you don't have to focus on that just happens passively. So you have a lot of things that passively happen while you're doing certain things, not with those passive things in mind. So yeah, things just fall into place, really. And don't get caught up on the small things. Don't get caught up like on one minor mistake. Just keep going forward. Stay consistent. Consistency is key. If you are not consistent, one bad day is enough to throw off a week, and one bad week is enough to throw off a month, and so on and so forth. Very quickly you can find yourself back to square one, and you're gonna be like, man, I'm never going to grow, so there's no point. Don't get stuck in that mindset. Don't fumble over one mistake, or maybe a few mistakes. You can always do better, and that's the thing you need to be doing if you are making these mistakes, is focusing on what can I learn about the mistakes I just made, and how do I prevent them in the future? How do I tell myself in the future not to do this, or not to go there, or not to talk to this person, yada, yada, yada. There's so many things. But if you stay consistent and you stay disciplined, things are just so much easier. And again, it's hard. It's a lot easier than said, but you do have the strength to do it. And I 100% believe that is something that's necessary if you are an ambitious person and you do have big goals. Sticking to a solid routine builds so much character and strength and mental acuity and all these other things. Like it's very important. So if you're starting out and you're wanting to, start growing and bettering yourself, start with a routine. Build something. Get a piece of paper, write down what you're going to do on Monday, then what you're going to do on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Which day is your off day? What day do you want to do a certain workout? What day do you want to take time to meditate? What time, will you meditate? When do you sleep? When do you eat? What do you eat? There's so many things. And all of these small things collectively build together as one big thing, which is a routine. So focus on the smaller things and getting them set up so you don't have to do it in the future. And just as soon as you got that routine, stay with it. If you notice yourself getting off course and, you have certain thoughts that's just distracting you and getting you away from your goal, do something in that moment to get your mind off of it. Like maybe you're sitting there in bed, I don't want to get out of bed. And as soon as you catch yourself thinking that, get out of bed. Or, do something that'll get you more awake. Because what that does is it's actively rewiring your brain and how you respond to that thought. So the more you give these responses to those thoughts, the more secondhand they become, and the more, subconsciously it's just going to become nature. And, that's a really big thing, is sticking to a routine and, catching these thoughts that are distracting you, maybe throwing you off course, and doing something about it, right? It is hard to just like stop those thoughts and, shift focus onto something immediately. It is possible, don't think it's impossible. It is hard. But again, the more you do it, the easier it'll become. And the better you will be and better feeling you will feel, It's a pretty rewarding feeling when you look back and like, man, I was about to stay in bed for like an extra couple hours when I got up, went to the gym, ate breakfast, had a good workout, got groceries. I was doing productive shit. Like, productivity builds motivation. And the more productivity you're putting in and the consistency you're putting in, the better you will be. And, the faster you will be built. Again, no one's perfect. You're going to have days where you're off and you're going to miss days. You're going to, not want to do stuff. You're going to have these times and days that you're going to go through. Expect them. And realize that it's okay. People mess up. You're going to have those days. It's human. It's within nature for everybody. Because no one's perfect. But as long as you take those as lessons learned and, build from them, you're doing good. You know, that's good. That is more than enough. And you are putting in that solid amount of work, you know. It's already enough to look back on something, reflect, and, you know, see what you could change. That's already an amazing start. So really stick with that. Focus on that. You know, think longevity and consistency. You know, the more consistent you'll be, the better things are. So I think that's probably what this video will encompass, is just longevity and consistency. A lot of people just get caught up on those, you know, like, oh, well, I'm just gonna, you know, try to jump to this end goal immediately. No, it takes time. Do not do that. It takes time. You're gonna fail pretty bad, and it's not gonna be fun. But if you slowly work your way up and you stay consistent and spend that time and effort, then it's gonna be easier, and you probably will get it. Just realize that idea that you need to be consistent, and that you are gonna have off days, but it is okay as long as you're building from it. That is okay. So yeah, I'll probably keep it short, this video. I do have some plans later this day, so I am kind of trying to keep it shorter. But yeah, consistency. Please stay consistent. Please, you know, do things that'll help you get rid of certain thoughts. You know, discipline yourself. Take a cold shower. Go outside on a run. Go do something that you usually don't want to do. Get out your comfort zone. All these things are just gonna build, and they're gonna build and keep building until you're something big, and you are where you're at. I promise you will get there if you put in that work. It's like 100% guaranteed. I've never seen anyone that just gets everything without putting in work and effort. You know, so realize that as long as you are putting in that work and effort, you will get to that end goal. You just have to put in that time and stay consistent to it. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Again, thank you for all the support. If you watch these videos, thank you. I appreciate it all. I'm here for you guys. These videos are here for you, to take notes, take stuff from. And yeah, that's it for today. So I do believe things are going to get better, and I am hopeful. I hope you all are too, because that is true. Things will get better. So thank you, and bye.